before I leave my house, I'd look in the mirror and I'd say, it's kind of cheesy, but I'd look in the mirror. I have my USBs or whatever, my headphones. I'm ready to go to a big show. I'm nervous about it. I look at myself in the mirror and I say, you shall return home the champion. And I look at myself like it's this dramatic, major moment, like almost like Lord of the Rings moment. And I do it. And I come home and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I killed it. I killed it. I am the champion.
This is Intentionally Ever After. Join intentional lifestyle coach Joe Bukartek for a series of personal conversations and coaching sessions with various people about how living with intention shows up for them.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Intentionally Ever After. Today, I have a very special guest that I'm going to ask to introduce herself, Miss Paula Burrows. Paula, welcome.
Thanks, Joe. It's great to be here.
Yeah, Paula, who are you?
Who am I? Such a deep question. Well, I'll keep it really ethereal and say I'm a Cozmic Cat.
I love it.
That's actually my artist name. So I'm an artist. I'm a performer, music producer, a DJ. I work in sound, music production, and incidentally editing. I also edit this podcast.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do. So that's what I do.
And your voice sounds awfully familiar, Paula. Where might I have heard it?
Maybe in the intro, maybe in the outro. I'm not sure. Thanks for listening.
Good. Yeah. So good. Only the most devout listeners would have picked up on that before we called it out.
Exactly. So that's what I do. And I am living in Toronto, Canada with my partner and my dog and trying to survive the COVID that shall not be named, but I just named it. Yes, trying to just maintain through the pandemic. And as my whole world kind of was turned upside down by the way that we're not allowed to gather anymore, which was my sole income, I've just kind of had to have a reevaluation of life. So here I am living every day and trying to just live as an individual that's now having to face different challenges and just figure out what's next. So that's where I'm at right now. As many people in the artistic community are, just trying to reinvent themselves, at least temporarily, while we figure this out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as we talked a little bit before we started about how it's affected people in different ways. Mm-hmm. And obviously, you have listened to this podcast many times more than the average listener because you're editing it. But as you're hearing people answer the question about living intentionally and maybe thinking about the answer for yourself, it seems that it's impossible not to think about it in terms of as it relates to COVID.
I agree. I think it's made the majority of people stop and look at their lives as it is and their lifestyles as they are and think, what am I doing? What's changed? What can I do now? So that's kind of forced intention on everybody on the planet, really. It's like, who are you? What are you doing? Right now, what are you doing?
Yes, exactly. So, Paula, what are you doing right now? In the name of intentionality, how do you choose to live intentionally?
I've thought about this question, and I think for me, there's a point where you think about something. You think about an action that you want to do. And then there's a point where you take an action. And then in between the space of the thinking and the doing lies intention. And I think you could probably put the intention in different places in that little timeline. But for me, I have this urge to do something or create something as an artist. And then I set my intention. I'm going to do this. This is how I'm going to do it. And this is what I'm going to do. And then I do it. And so I live a lot in that place of intention where it's now I'm deciding to do something. Now I'm intending to do something. And I kind of create a little plan and I check in with myself and I make sure I have all the right assets or people or vibes or, anything that I need to make it happen. And then I proceed to make it happen. And I think if you skip that intentional part, you dishonor the process of the action or the art that you're creating. You're just, there is room for just like raw expression. But for me, when I'm creating art, which is how I'm coming at the term intention, because that's who I am as an artist, I always think about art and creating it. I think when you put intention behind it, it's more valuable, at least to me. I find that I've honored the process of creating in a deeper way when I'm intentional about it.
So is this something that is limited by COVID, do you feel?
I'm not sure I would use the word limited. It's just changed. I think a true artist would say that you're not limited by one means of creating. You can paint, you can sing, you can edit a podcast, you can DJ, you can dance, you can make music. So there's been shifts for sure. But I wouldn't say they're limiting. In some ways, it's been expanding because I've started to play the bass. I've started to do more technical post-production stuff. I've really focused on my music production and released several EPs and singles. And I've actually got a collaboration coming up with a British record label. So I'm really excited about that. And I think those opportunities only come with the amount of work and intention that I put in with my music production, which I never did when I was out gigging, because pre-COVID, I was working so much, I didn't spend as much time in the studio. So now with this extra studio time, I'm almost more creative. And I've also had to explore, not had to, but I chose to explore the world of live streaming. So that was a whole learning curve. You know, that definitely wasn't limiting. That was like, okay, wow, this is intense. Like I got my green screen, I got my studio lights, I've got, you know, checking all the platforms and doing a live stream show twice a week. So that's been kind of expanding, you know, as opposed to limiting.
That sounds very much expanding. It sounds the opposite of limiting, as you said. That's wonderful. That's really great. Yeah. Way to take control of that. Right?
I just love that you're focused so much on intention, because that's what it's all about for an artist with a 100% self-directed career. You're not going to survive unless you are very intentional. What do you want to do? What is success to you? What does that mean? What does that look like? You're constantly asking yourself these questions. For a sensitive person like myself, I ask myself these questions a lot because I want to make sure that I'm not getting sucked into comparing myself with other artists. I want to make sure I don't get lost in the noise. I want to make sure I don't get stuck in a rut and start to doubt my abilities. So the checking in, the intention is definitely like a beacon for me.
What would you say? I love that. What would you say is your process to do that, to reduce the chance that you get stuck in that rut or start comparing yourself to others?
Well, first of all, is know yourself. It took a long time to know myself. You know, I think you spend a lot of your 20s reacting, you know, to maybe the stuff from your original family or just stuff that you're learning as you get out there in life. And then you have this chance to know your patterns. And if I feel myself like negative talk or, you know, self-doubt, or I'm not believing in myself and saying I'm not good enough, then I can just check myself, because that's not who I am. And I'll notice like, wow, I'm in a funk. I'm like in a rut. And then I'll be like, what really is going on? That's when I have different methods of kind of getting in tune with myself, like saying, taking a long walk in nature, or calling up some friends in the biz, or writing down stuff in my journal, or even going to like online to different, I kind of call them gurus. They're not really gurus, but they're people like I really trust, like their YouTube channels, and they always have something like positive or just grounding about what I'm doing. And I'm like, oh yeah, like they're doing it. It's all good. Like I'm on the right track. It's all good. I'm back on track.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Do you have any in particular that you like to call out?
I'll leave a link for you because I remember their names, but I don't remember the name of their channel. And I want to just make sure that you can actually click on it if you're interested.
Oh, sure.
It doesn't have to be from an industry expert. It could be from something completely different, like a dog rescue video. Right? I just watched them. I'm like, oh my God, they saved the dog out of the well. Yeah, just something good. And then all of a sudden I feel great again.
That's funny. Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. You found these different rituals that help, put you back in a good place.
Yes, they kind of change my state. And I understand that. I speak that language because that's actually what I do for a living. I'll come into a space, I'll read the room, and I'll feel what I need to do to change the state of the individuals in that room.
That's cool.
for whatever is appropriate for the event, and it may be just maintain. It's all good. Let's just hang out. But it could be like, let's party, festival vibes. And then you really want to bring it and you feed off the vibes of the people. And, that's what reading a room is about. Or if it's like outdoors, like festival vibes, then you would just get that energy from the crowd and give it back to them and like amp it up and see how much you could go, how far you could go. Yeah. So I understand that if you're in a funk, you have that power to change your mind. You have that power to change your state. It's not like you're stuck there forever. You just have to,
that's so good.
You have to know that you can, and that there are tricks. Like if I'm stressed out before a gig, I just go in the bathroom, do some deep breathing. I have some mantras I say, or before I leave my house, I'd look in the mirror and I'd say, it's kind of cheesy, but I'd look in the mirror. I have my USBs or whatever, my headphones. I'm ready to go to a big show. I'm nervous about it. I look at myself in the mirror and I say, you shall return home the champion. I look at myself like it's this dramatic, like major moment, like almost like Lord of the Rings moment. And I do it. And I come home and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I killed it. I killed it. I am the champion. I set the intention before I left,
That's so good. Well, I mean, you know all these questions inside and out at this point, but it has me wondering about the next one, which is about a change in habit that has an exponential payoff. And I'm wondering these systems that you've created for yourself, right? I'm wondering if you would put this in the category of habit, or if there's something else that comes up when I ask about a positive habit that has had a big change for you.
Something that comes to mind immediately is I have to contribute it to my partner, because she's the one that we kind of started this habit together. And it's gratitude every night. And it's changed my life. And I think there was a moment, I can't remember if we did it before COVID, but it really became a game changer during COVID. In March, I lost everything. Everything was closed. We didn't know what was going on. I stopped making any income. And to be really honest, it was really hard to find a reason to get out of bed for like April and May. It was like, what is going on? The world is going down the toilet and I'm just depressed. And my dog died. My dog of like 15 years died in March 2020. And I loved that dog. Like, I am an animal lover. I worship Cesar Millan. I love dogs. And this was like my buddy. Like, we spoke the same language, me and this dog. Had her for 15 years and she was 18 and she died. And I was so down. We really focused on this gratitude. And I remember it being very difficult in March because I didn't feel like I had anything to be grateful for.
That's a hard shift to take. Yeah.
Right. And I slowly started to pull small things like, okay, I'm grateful it was sunny today. Okay, I'm grateful that you made me a coffee. Okay, I'm grateful that we had a beautiful walk, or that my friend emailed me. And then it worked. We did 3 things every night. And as the days went by and I kind of picked myself up and, I did sit in the grief for a while, but then I was talking about live streaming and, studio time and all that. So I'm in a very good place now, but the gratitude, it not only helped me get out of the dark place, but it's been this thing. Actually, I feel like it's changed my brain. I feel like it's really easy for me to rattle off multiple things that I'm grateful for every day. And they're not always big. Usually they're quite small, but it's just a habit forces or encourages me to look at what I have. And we have so much. Like, I have so much. And so it could be as simple as we made an epic pizza from the dough and just put all the veggies on it and the bacon and or whatever. Something really cool. Or Carmen got a grant, my partner, or my single got signed, or somebody gave me a really good review on something I produced, or, it could be career-wise, it could be family, it could be. So the daily gratitude, it's given me something to shake me out of my little bubble. And it's been a habit that I don't ever want to stop. Yeah. And it has changed my life because, when you're depressed, you have to get out of your own way and look at your life in perspective with other lives. I'm not talking like chronic clinical depression. I'm talking when you're just down about shit in your life. If you can pull yourself to look at life, flip your perspective, it's really helpful for like a moody Cancerian like myself.
That's amazing. What would you say is the significance of having a partner, a supportive partner in that process?
It's invaluable. I mean, I'd like to think I could do all this on my own because I'm super independent. And I'm very hands-on, and I'm a black belt, and I'm very handy, and I'm socially outgoing, and I could do everything. But no, when it comes down to it, we're a team, and we have helped each other through this. And when I'm sitting there going like, I don't want to do gratitude, I can't think of anything. She's like, no, you got to do it. Here's mine. And then I'm just like, okay. And then I do mine. And then, maybe another day she's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, come on, Carmen, got to do gratitude. So yeah, it's like having an accountability buddy. It's like having a support network. It's when you're in a good relationship, don't underestimate that, because when shit is falling down and the world's going crazy, you have this beautiful foundation that you can trust and you can lean on, or you can be there for or with. It's 100% valuable. I'm grateful every day for my partner.
Well, that sounds like an easy one. If you can't think of a gratitude, right? You can always pull that one out. I doubt she'd fight you too much on it.
She's pretty chill. Well, actually, she's not chill at all. She's like a very volatile Leo, but I like that. That's the spice.
That's good. And now everybody knows it.
Oh yeah, she's cool about that.
Well, I choose to think that you could also pull yourself out of it if you had to, if on your own, because of.
Yeah. I feel that. I have that confidence of, when you've had different relationships and you've been through challenges and you've challenged yourself and you've gotten through it, you get that confidence. Sometimes I look at situations that I'm kind of scared of, and I go, okay, I acknowledge you're fearful, but if you get into a hole, you can climb back out. You can get out of this. So like really the stakes are just lower when you kind of look at worst case scenario and say like, I can handle this. I can work this out. And if it completely falls apart, I can crawl out of the hole and like still move on.
Right. And then sometimes Carmen doesn't need to be your support. She can be your cheerleader as well.
Oh, she's 100% my cheerleader. Like sometimes she's the only person listening to my live stream. Literally.
Well, that will no longer be the case. I'll tell you what. The loyal listeners of Intentionally Ever After will soon learn all about it.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
No, we're each other's cheerleaders. Like she gets a grant. I'm like, I can't even pronounce half of the acronyms in the title of this grant. That's like this is the world's longest title. But yeah, I'm so happy for any success she has. And I feel it's 100% reciprocated.
That's wonderful. What have you said no to that has made a significant impact in your life?
Netflix.
Oh, you're the 1%, huh?
No, I love Netflix. We have Netflix, Disney, Crave, Amazon. We have it all. But I said no to Netflix Monday through Thursday, like during the week. So we do Netflix and all that on the weekends now. Because as like with the rest of the population, since March 2020, we were like all excited about all these streaming services. And we were just like, okay, tonight, what are we going to watch? Tonight, what are we going to watch? And it actually wasn't helping me. First, it helped me, and then it wasn't. I think once I got out of my funk and I started like focusing on new ways to express my art and to be in this world with COVID, that I found it was becoming a distraction, but not the good distraction that it was before. And we were just really digging for things of quality to watch. Yeah, so we said, you know what, let's try this. I look back and we haven't missed it. We watch it on the weekend. So we watch, Friday night, we sit down, we pick something. It's way more meaningful. It's way more exciting. So we're eating junk food less. We're drinking alcohol less. And we're watching better shows. And we're more excited about what we watch. So we're like, Saturday night, we're going to finish RuPaul's Drag Race, as opposed to like, tomorrow, then Monday, then Tuesday, then Wednesday, and Thursday. So yeah, we said no to Netflix.
Right.
Like we didn't cancel it. We didn't cancel it or anything. We just...
Well, no, that would be crazy.
Yeah, don't get crazy now. It got a bit mindless. And we're not a mindless household, and I'm not a mindless person. So I was like,
You go all in.
Yeah, that's the no I would say that comes to mind when I think of something that has actually changed our household. Because now we just do different things, whether it's by ourselves or whether it's together.
Right. So what you're saying is there are other things to do besides watch a streaming service? This is controversial stuff. Yes. Here you're bringing.
There are. And also, I must let the listener know that we don't watch a lot of horror or things that are like freaky crazy, because I'm so sensitive. I get nightmares. I can't deal. Like it freaks me out. So there's a lot of shows that I couldn't watch anyway. We want to watch fun things and like upbeat things and uplifting things. Because I mean, these are tough times. You have to be really intentional about what crosses the doorstep to your brain, whether it's media, whether it's your friends, if they're being super like negative, like forever, like everyone can be negative, but not like forever, you know? So that's one of the things I get really affected by movies and stuff, because that's what they're made for. They're made to affect you emotionally.
I think that's a really good point you're bringing up, being intentional about the media that you take in.
Yeah, and I live on socials. It's part of what I do. You know, I'm on Instagram a lot, and it's like a commercial venture for me. I'm an entertainer. I'm a public figure. This is what I do. And I spend a lot of time communicating and engaging with people on socials. And I spend a lot of time creating content on socials. So that's not going to stop.
Yeah. Now, this is off script, so feel free to edit this out of the podcast. But I'm curious about your thoughts around your digital philosophy. If you have a digital philosophy as far as your social media production versus social media consumption.
I'm very regulated. It's a business venture, 100%. I'm on all the platforms because, like I said, I'm marketing a music career. So I think that the biggest thing that I struggle with when it comes to digital overload is YouTube, where I start off thinking I need to learn a skill, like a tutorial, or I'm interested in this topic. And then 2 hours later, I can't even describe what I'm watching. I'm like, what the hell am I watching? Like,
yeah, they saved the dog from the well. You already said that's how you got to it.
Yeah. The rabbit holes, right? So there can be times where I'm like, shit, like I've wasted a lot of time on YouTube. But in general, I'm intentional about it. I have that as part of every day. This is what I do. And I check in on certain people and engage with them. And I create my content and I post it on the different, you know, whether it's reels or whether it's stories or whether it's Facebook or whether it's an IG live. I think about it, script it. I do all that stuff. So I would say that I don't waste as much time. I'm pretty proud of myself for how I manage my digital well-being. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, it's getting a bit YouTube heavy. I'm watching like bizarre stuff and I should just like, I probably have something else I could be doing. So I'm usually able to catch myself. Yeah. I think it's really difficult. I mean, they have millions and billions of dollars of research going into how best to engage the human mind on socials with advertising and such. So it's very difficult to just be like, oh, we should just have willpower and turn it off and stop scrolling. Like, this is a big business. So, I mean, I'm just saying, people, don't be hard on yourselves if you find yourself spending a lot of time, but do be aware, because it does affect you. I'll be like, la, 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 scroll, and I'll see something. I'm like, I didn't want to see that. Either it makes me compare myself to someone else, or it's just too negative. You know, excuse me, it's just too negative, or, you know, it's just politically like, or like racist, or like just disturbing in some way. And that will actually affect me, right? So my strategy is get in there, do your 30 minutes of, you know, your business posting, and then, you know, find things that engage you and entertain you, but don't go nuts. Don't be aware that it's a rabbit hole. It's kind of like cocaine. It's like New Year's Eve, do a bump, don't go nuts on a Tuesday afternoon.
I love it. By the way, I want you to use that as the soundbite for the intro of the episode.
I'm not promoting drugs, people. I'm just saying, yeah, social media is serious. I mean, it's serious, right? It's very addictive. It's on purpose. It's addictive. So, yeah, I don't know if that answered your question about my
Oh, it answered
yeah?
it. It gave, yeah, and it revealed some other good nuggets in there too. So thank you for sharing.
Okay, cool. All right, no worries.
What area in your life feels just about perfect?
I would say my relationship. That's it. It's been great. And COVID has tested us and it's found that it's strong. So that's good. Because I know that it's been stressful for people living together all the time, 24/7 in the same house. We're both working from home. And sometimes it's just a lot. But it's shown me how great our relationship actually is, this pandemic. And it's made me more appreciative. So I'm able to acknowledge that this is an area that I'm really happy with. I don't know if I would change anything. I mean, you can always be like, yeah, if we had a really great weekend in Paris and there was no COVID, or, you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Sure.
But no, it's
Sure.
great.
You still have goals as a relationship, but
We do, and we respect each other, and we have fun with each other, and we can get serious with each other, but, we have a lot of fun, and we have a lot of the same values, and it's good. It's like I married my best friend.
sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Sounds just about perfect.
I don't really like that word perfect.
Yeah. Well, I put it in quotes.
Yeah. Oh, did you? Air quotes. I missed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'd read the prep document, I would have seen the quotes.
That's right. You've seen it so much that you've internalized everything. Who is someone you admire, and what do you admire about them?
Oh, there's so many people. Honestly, I don't have an individual that I admire. I admire more like groups of people or philosophies, or I just admire anyone that's overcome insane hardships and thrived. Like, maybe it's cheesy, but I guess you could put individual face on it. Someone like Oprah, who was 13 and pregnant and in juvie and incredibly poor and racialized by her career in film and television, and is just doing her. Even Prince Harry, who's just doing his thing, and he's like, no, we're actually not happy. Let's get out of here. And all this shitstorm that followed, he's just like, yeah, let's do it. It's like, of course, these are incredibly rich and privileged people, but also someone who maybe walked on foot from South Sudan across the border into BDBD refugee camp, and they're thriving and they're starting a business over there. And I'm just like, how are some people so able to come through such hardship that we can't even really wrap our heads around, and yet they do so well? I admire anyone like that. Those are the people I look up to. I'm like, yeah, if they can do it, I can do it. If it's not so much that I'm like, oh my God, this person, because when you scratch the surface, I feel like everyone has their values, everyone has their moral compass, and they're the person that they are, but we're all just kind of doing our best every day with what we have. And some days that's a lot. We have a lot of capacity and we have a lot of resources. And some days we're really struggling and we're kind of reactive, and we don't know what to do. And we do something and we look back and we're like, oh, I could have done better if I'd known more. Right? So to me, there's no person that just has it all in the bag. It's more like, how good are you at being knocked down and getting up? Those are the people I admire. Those people that just are like, I'm not done yet. I'm not settling. I'm not saying this is my story. I'm rewriting my story every day. So I was thinking about an individual, and I really can't think of one individual, because there's some things about Oprah I'm like, oh, what else? Do you know what I mean?
Sure. You're not taking you don't need to take the full individual, right? And I guess that's
exactly,
you absolutely got at the spirit of the question, right? Mm-hmm. And it's, what specific thing do you admire about these individuals? And you've really you've captured that really well, I think. And I like you bringing up the fact that you believe that everyone is doing the best that they can. I also happen to believe that. I do. At any given point, I believe that everyone's doing the absolute best that they can. I also believe, and I'm curious your take on this, that sometimes it's not good enough.
Hell yeah.
But that they're still doing the best that they can, that I'm still doing the best that I can. So what do you think about that?
You can see it. I 100% agree with you. And the best that people can may not be enough for the situation, may not work, and may not have the best outcome, but it is the best that they can do. And so in that way, I do agree with you and think that oftentimes it's not good enough. That's why we're always learning and trying to change and become better, because we acknowledge that, wow, I did that and it wasn't good enough and it didn't work out, or I see there's a better way I could have done it, which would have made so many things better. And then you kind of just grow.
Well, it sounds like the piece you also admire about folks is their ability to take control and do something about it.
I love that.
How they choose to respond.
Yeah, that's really appealing to me because I'm a self-directed individual. I'm an entrepreneur. I just love that kind of philosophy that you write your own story and that you can change things that aren't working. You don't like your story, you don't like the blueprint, change the blueprint. You don't like the trajectory you're on, make some changes, even if they're tiny. I've just realized that in my life, I'm actually not happy unless I'm moving forward. Like, unless I'm progressing. So I make goals all the time and I'm trying to like get to my little goals, and that keeps me really happy. If I'm just doing things, it's not working. And when you've made enough goals, you understand that you constantly have to change your trajectory, tweak things, make adjustments, say, this is what I want to do. And sometimes you have to make a 360 and be like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm doing this. And I think the more you do that, the more confidence you get about taking control of a situation, and it becomes more natural.
Precisely. That, I'm not even going to add to it. That was wonderful. What do you imagine some people admire about you?
Well, I'm so amazing. It's hard to think of one thing. I'm joking.
I challenge you to come up with something.
I would think my sense of humor, because I am such a goofball. And also that I love people. And I think people really see that. They see that I have a lot of respect and love for humanity. I mean, I'll just start chatting with someone at the bus stop. Maybe not in COVID, but I just feel like, you know, I'm really drawn to the human race. And I think people they've said that to me, where they're like, oh, you just respect everybody on the same level. Like, if it's a teenager or a kid, you talk to them with so much respect and so much interest and so patient. And it's not hard for me to do that. It's not forced. I really do love people. So I think I have been told that people love the way that I relate to people, because it sounds very cheesy, but I really do believe that we all have this light inside of us. Each individual has like this light, and I guess it's the soul, but I just think all our souls are just speaking to each other, and they're all equal, and they're like stars, and you can't judge them. And until you're an idiot, I'm not going to treat you like an idiot. Basically, it's the cool guy philosophy. Like, everybody's cool until you're not. Then you got to leave. Bouncer's going to kick you out. But like, everybody's welcome. So yeah, I've been told that the way that I relate to people is admirable.
Yeah, I agree. For what it's worth.
Awesome.
So, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I'm always promoting myself, so I would say go to my website and check out my latest music.
Of course.
Other than that, I'd say it's just so nice connecting with you, Joe, and this whole experience has been great. Even just, it's very cosmic, just the way you came into my life and we started working on this podcast together and watching it grow. That's been really a valuable experience to me. So I'm saying this to everybody, but I'm also saying this to you, Joe. Like, I'm very grateful for the podcast. And I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of it, or if they already have, I'm sure they already have, but I think it's a valuable thing that you're creating. Yeah.
Thank you.
I really believe that. It's great.
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you.
So no, nothing else. It's been great. It's sunny here in Toronto, and I hope everyone's going to have a great day, and thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Would you take us out? I'm just going to say thank you for the kind words and for sharing time with me. I love holding space and sharing space with you. And this has been cool getting to know a little bit more about you. So thank you.
This has been Intentionally Ever After, hosted by intentional lifestyle coach, Joe Bukartek. If you would like to have your own intentional conversation with Joe on or off the air, visit intentionallyeverafter.com. Thanks for listening.